But we're talking about the Federal Reserve here. We're talking about the illegitimacy of this institution known as the Federal Reserve. What we're basically talking about is why this nation is in debt. And the debt may not mean anything to you right now. Right now it may not mean anything to you. But it is inevitable that at some point the debt that has been created by this illegitimate entity known as the Federal Reserve, there is going to be a day of reckoning. And on that note, I'm going to continue with Newswatch Magazine. This is a fantastic article here explaining basically the origins of the Federal Reserve and what it means to you as an American. In a futile attempt to avoid the day of reckoning, let me back up a little bit and just let you know where I'm at here. However, the money to pay the usury on the debt is never created within the system. Loan repayments to banks reduce the money supply because the money is removed from circulation when the debt is repaid. To keep the money supply from shrinking, more borrowing is necessary. It is mathematically impossible to pay off the debt principal plus the interest. In a futile attempt to avoid the day of reckoning, borrowers are forced to take on increasing amounts of debt to pay not only the principal of the debt, but also the interest as well. Debt escalates at an exponential rate until borrowers are forced into bankruptcy. This phenomena is not unique to government borrowing, but applies as well to individuals and businesses. The ultimate consequences are involuntary unemployment, inflation, burdensome interest rates, and the calculated loss of our inherited rights and freedoms, and the confiscation of our property. Now we should heed the wise words of Daniel Webster, who said, "A disordered currency is one of the greatest political evils. It undermines the virtues necessary for the support of the social system and encourages propensities destructive to its happiness. It wars against industry, frugality, and economy, and it fosters evil spirits of extravagance and speculation. Of all the contrivances for cheating the laboring classes of mankind, none has been more effectual than that which deludes them with paper money." This is from the Congressional Record of 1946. Now this is now what we have, paper money. If Congress does not rectify the matter, the whole house of paper money is going to fall down around our heads within a few short years. The ultimate mathematical equation is complete and total bankruptcy for all but the elite few, and that is certain. Tens of thousands of Americans have been begging Congress to stop this fraud for over 30 years to no avail. All that Americans have received is more and more taxation to feed this monster and the debt it creates. Louis T. McFadden, chairman of the House Banking Committee, speaking about the international financial conspirators during the very time they were taking over the monetary control of America, stated, quote, "We have in this country one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever known. I refer to the Federal Reserve Board and the Federal Reserve Banks, hereinafter called the Fed. They are not government institutions. They are private monopolies which prey upon the people of the United States for the benefit of themselves and their foreign and domestic swindlers, rich and predatory moneylenders." Now, McFadden died under very mysterious circumstances in 1936 after 3 previous attempts on his life. I am going to explain to you, though, what the Federal Reserve means to you in my own words. What has happened here? Why we saw Social Security pass in the 1930s. Why we saw the Great Society and Medicare and Medicaid during the 60s. Why we're seeing the Health Care Reform Act today. This is all by design. It has never been intended to provide social programs for the needy. It has never been intended to provide health care for the needy. What all these programs are designed to do is to further indebt the American people, because this private entity known as the Federal Reserve controlled by international bankers. The only way that this private entity that prints the dollar in your back pocket makes 1 cent is if they can collect the interest of having loaned that money to Congress. And the only reason that Congress will have an excuse to borrow more money is if they create more fictitious social programs. You may not understand the meaning of this, but let me explain to you what this means. What it means is that for the rest of your life, as long as the Federal Reserve exists, you will be forced to pay higher taxes. More of the fruits of your labor will be taken. In effect, you will be a slave to these international bankers. The number's 34393.